Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Mr. Shekhar Kapur, for joining us here on Times Now and joining us during Waves, a very different concept that we have now here in India. For me personally, it's an honor to have this conversation with you. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate you on receiving the Padma Bhushan Award. I want to begin by asking you.
I got it right here.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, what does it really mean for you personally as well as professionally?
I think it has a greater meaning personally, because the Padma Awards are presented not just because of the work you've done, it's the influence you've had. And the influence you had is more than the work you've done. So it's not just my films, it's what I say, what people listen, or the television things that I've done, or Pradhan Mantri, or the number of things I've done on television. So I remember my dad, before he passed away, he looked at me one day very slyly and he said, "You know what, बेटे पैसा कमाना आसान है, कमा लेते हैं, इज्जत कमानी बहुत मुश्किल है." So in a way, it's respect. Certainly the Padma Awards is a mark of respect from the nation to you. So that's why it's important.
Very interesting. And Mr. Shekhar Kapur, we always have seen you as somebody who has taken storytelling from India to the entire world. We heard Prime Minister Modi also speaking about the importance of waves. He spoke about how we need to create in India for the world. As somebody who's seen both the sides, how does India look from outside, the Indian cinema, Indian storytelling specifically?
We're not that far away. We're not that far from the time when they looked upon us as some strange tribal cinema, because what they saw was songs and dances and melodrama. Our films are melodramatic. So it took a long time for me to explain to them that we don't see life like you do. We see life as mythic. We call what you call melodramatic, we call mythic. So, for example, being born is a mythic event. Falling in love to us is a mythic event. Dying is a mythic event. Getting married is a mythic event. Having a child is a mythic event. To be betrayed is a mythic event. So because we see life as mythology, fundamentally, therefore we make films in a very melodramatic way, for everything is kind of mythic.
So you were telling us about how the world is now viewing India much differently.
Yeah. I think because other forms of cinema has come in. For example, I really admire Korean cinema and the Korean Squid Games. It's completely Korean, right? The performing is Korean, the storytelling is Korean, and it's very Asian in a way. It's not American, it's not European, and yet it became the most popular for many weeks all over the world, the most popular Netflix program. So the world is waking up. And one of the reasons the world is waking up is because the world is accepting subtitles. I remember when I first started working in the West, they would always say, "Shekhar, American audiences don't like to read." They illiterate? They said, no, they just don't like subtitles. Now the world has got used to subtitles. And as the world has got used to subtitles, so everybody is now reading the subtitles, so understanding the cultural imperative much more.
Is that the reason why we are seeing an exponential sort of growth, acceptance from not just Indian audience, but the global audience of regional cinema in India that's being produced more than the Hindi cinema?
Well, regional cinema always been quite outstanding, but it's the fault of the media. The media glare has always been on what we call Bollywood. But behind that, it hid some real talent. That real talent existed behind that glare. So in the regional cinema, there were some amazing directors. So I don't even know why we call it regional. How can you today call Tamil cinema regional or Telugu cinema regional? It's bigger than what we call Hindi cinema or Bollywood cinema. So it was the wrong way to call it. It's cinema and some of the most talented people. And to me, actually, the best. My favorite cinema is Malayalam cinema. I love it. I watch everything that comes out of any Malayalam cinema. So
And before I talk to you about your journey, because that's very, very interesting and we really want to talk about it, I just want to ask you, you called Waves the Davos of creative economy. Why do you think it's extremely important and what kind of potential do you see in Waves?
I think that culture leads business. Doesn't happen the other way around. We can go on talking about commerce. If you look at history, it's the culture of two nations that led to the commerce between two nations or two peoples. Because the stories are shared, and as the stories are shared, people then start to interact with each other. So culture is really important. So what the Prime Minister spoke about, the cultural economy is a huge economy. In fact, I think people are getting it wrong. India is the largest nation with the largest amount of content being made and consumed. If you put it together, every person who goes to a party and sings, oh, mehfil hoti hai, gana gaate hain, put it together, it's probably $1 trillion business already. So to put the cultural economy in front of the manufacturing economy or the services economy is probably the right thing to do because it's a cultural economy. And we've been talking about India's soft power a lot. Waves is the putting together, the content together of India's soft power. And I don't think the Prime Minister said that, but maybe I can say it. I think that the culture of these waves will probably lead to an extra, once it's really going together, we put it together, it'll probably lead to an extra $1 trillion in our GDP. Because the whole idea is to come and ask people to co-create with us. But also, let's put it this way, if India banned Facebook, Facebook would fall. That's how important we are. But why is Facebook not Indian? Why is Microsoft not in India? Why is Google not in India? We are one of the largest consumers of all of these things, all of these big technology sites. Why are they not coming up in India? They're not coming up in India because don't have the culture of creating huge technology. We've had a culture of consuming technology. So Waves is the thing is get together. You are the creative people. Create the IP in India. Let the next Facebook come in India. Let the next Microsoft come out of India. But this Microsoft Waves has to be the two brains together. You know, the commercial brain and the creative brain has to work together. So I think this is a fantastic idea to put
I
Waves
think
together.
you've raised a fantastic point, something that was also raised by Union Minister Piyush Goyal a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not wrong, wherein he, in a way, raised a question on the direction that our startups really are taking right now, because he tried to suggest that several mom and pop stores or maybe some rich kids making ice creams or cookies are being branded as startups, etc. Similarly, of course, like you mentioned, there is a lot of potential. Now, Waves is a platform, but do we see that happening? Is the mindset there, within the industry to become creators, like you said, to have a Facebook kind of a thing emerging from India instead of just being the consumers of the platform?
I think that India is the startup nation of the world has always been. Because we have suddenly startup is a word adopted by what I call the top of the pyramid. I've just done an MBA, I've just come from Wharton, I'm going to do a startup. Actually, the guy that goes to the vegetable, if I go to Juhu in Mumbai or the beach, the person that goes and buys chana from one place, buys it as masala from one place, will go every evening and put it and sell it. It's a startup. Poverty or need, financial need is the greatest thing as far as startups. India is a startup economy. So well, I think what Mr. Piyush Goyal is saying is this. Unfortunately, in India, the equity markets or the private equity players in India are looking for quick returns. They're looking for short exits. So they put money in, so with 2 साल में exit हो जाना चाहिए, 3 साल में. Now you cannot invest, say, for example, in an AI machine or an AI stack and say, I want a return in a year and a half. What India needs is equity players, finance players that come in for the long term and think about a 10-year down the line investment. As long as all investment and equity that is being invested in India is coming for a quick return, for a quick exit, we will have these small startups that make a lot of noise but are not long-term contributors to the Indian economy.
Now, coming to your journey, because that's something that has been an inspiration for so many, it is going to inspire many, many more generations to come. Masum, Mr. India, Bandit Queen. I mean, it's a long list, and also all are very different from each other. So, firstly, I want to ask you, at the prime of your career, after giving us Bandit Queen, you left everything and decided to move to Hollywood. Recently, I think in one of your social media posts that you also mentioned that you were left with no money. I mean, what was the intention really? Where did you get this courage?
In a way, a film is a startup. And the best way to do a film is to go broke. Once you go broke, you have no choice but to karna hai. Otherwise, when you have options, the mind, the heart may say something, मुझे ये बनानी है. The mind says, ये बनानी, वो बनानी है, पैसा नहीं है, वो नहीं कर सकते. The mind stops if you're hungry. The moment you're hungry, the heart takes over, and then you have to make it. So I believe that. I've done it all my life. I've gone, in a way, metaphorically also hungry. And then I have to make something. And then when I have to make something, I go back to the heart and say, what do you want to make? And the heart will tell me what to make. Why did I go to the West? Because I looked around myself. Remember, that was the time in India where if you wanted to make a film, the first thing a producer would ask you, hero ki maan kahan hai? Do you remember? There was not a single film in India where the hero didn't have a very dominant or a very weak mother. It was everywhere. So I wanted to make different. I wanted to make, that's why I made Elizabeth. That was completely different. I wanted to make, I made Four Feathers. That was about a war in Africa where the British were defeated. They were all completely different. So I wanted to tell different stories, and I wanted to pitch myself against what I thought at that time was the A team. Sab yahan kehte hain he's a fantastic filmmaker. Let me see if if you're a footballer, do you want to play with the first league or, you want to go and compete with the first league? Fail, yeah, but at least I've tried and seen how good or bad I am.
But where did these ideas really come from? Say, Mr. India, Masum, Elizabeth, Bandit Queen, absolutely different from each other. And, usually when we speak with filmmakers or actors, you put them into a certain kind of genre. And, there is this labeling that happens when you do a certain kind of work. But with you, that cannot happen. So I want to ask you, how did these ideas really come about? What was the inspiration?
Well, I can't take full credit for all the ideas. In each case, I had good writers working with me. Very often I co-wrote, but I had always been very strict. Masum, I had Gulzar Saab with me, yeah.
Mr. India?
Salim Javed.
So how did it happen? Like, what is the story?
Masum was, I don't remember that person that made Masum, because when I look back at that person that made Masum, it's very difficult for me to understand that person. Because I did not go to film school. I did not assist anybody. I had very little experience of what film was. And I said, let me go and make a film. Why did somebody allow me to make a film? I have no idea. Something was happening. Somebody said, yeah, I'll fund you, you make a film. I remember the producer at that time said, I just want कि Gulzar Saab ko le lo for lyrics or R.D. Burman ko le lo music. That was it. So I went to them. And I think maybe they said no in Hindi and I didn't understand it because I just come back from overseas. So maybe I thought the no was a yes. So I think there's a part of me that has to do something that I'm afraid of. Well, when somebody said, Mr. India, oh my God, oh, are you afraid of it? Yeah, so let's do it.
But where did this attitude towards life, towards your career came from?
All art is rebellion. It's a very rebellious attitude. I've often tried to analyze. I've written about it also because I come from a middle class family, and we were ingrained with middle class people don't take risks. Middle class people, you get a nice degree, take a nice job, then you retire well and you pay play cards at the Delhi Gymkhana Club, right? That was the idea. I rebelled against that. So I'm constantly rebelling against everything that I come across. I will first find a way to rebel against it. That's why I'm a dangerous director. I'm a dangerous human being that way. I will rebel against everything. I just want to rebel against everything that is to see what lies beyond what the box that I've been put into. And if you don't rebel, you can't move outside the box because then you don't know what lies there.
You spoke about Masum as well, and we were trying to understand from you where did that idea really come from. So there is going to be Masum Part 2 as well. As audience, what can we expect?
A very intimate film. It's not a continuation of the same story. It's a continuation of that kind of story. It's a story of a family. And I'm still battling what the title should be. But I've now found the title. Yeah. It's called New India Construction Company, which is what the story of India is, the New India Construction Company.
And it'll have
Masum is have Shabana and Nasir and some kids, grown-up kids, because they are playing
your
in it.
daughter as well.
My daughter's in it as well. I don't like to say it because she refuses to allow me to say that because she's so scared that everybody will say, "Hey, Nepo kid," so she says, you cannot say I'm your daughter. You take me. So she made me screen tester.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how is it like working with your own daughter?
She's, she forgets. She will not. I will not. I mean, when I was working, screen tested her. It didn't feel like my daughter at all. She was an actor in front of me.
And since you mentioned Nepo kids, what's your take on this entire nepotism debate that keeps coming up again and again?
So my dad really wanted me to be a doctor because he was a doctor. He said, "Meri practice hai, tum sambhalo, Should the Ambani children not take over the thing? Why is it only the film industry we say Nepo? Of course, it's an old tradition. This family tradition is a very inherent tradition in India. So I don't know why this whole Nepo. Yes, if it means that nobody else is getting a chance, yeah. But the idea that, passed down from the father to the son or from the parents to the children, it's an old Indian tradition. I don't know where this comes from. I mean, I know where it comes from, but I don't quite understand why it's there.
Of course. Mr. Kapur, I also want to ask you about AI because that's the buzzword these days. And at least in other industries, the fear is that it's going to take away the jobs of people and hence upskilling, reskilling is the need of the hour. I want to ask you, can film industry, can cinema and AI coexist?
Let me take your first question. Whose jobs are going to go? You know that story about that man that was going to go, the CEO that was going to go for a $10 billion raise and had a conversation call fixed for that evening with his investors. He goes to his office early in the morning and there's only the cleaning lady there. And the cleaning lady says, "Sir,
the pitch. I've heard that.
I found these these papers in the wasteful basket. Are they important or should I throw them away?" He looks at the papers and they're actually his pitch to the investors. He gets really upset. What are they doing here? He's going to fire his secretary. And he's walking to the office and the cleaning lady said, "Sir, excuse me, so वो क्या है? वो एक pitch आपका जो गलत है ना, गलत है." So what do you mean गलत है? He said, "गलती है इसमें." He just gets really angry, bangs the door, sits down. But now she said it, so there's a little bit of doubt. Then he sees from under the door some papers are put in, and a knock said, "I've also done a pitch, sir. Pad lijiye." He reads the pitch, and the cleaning lady's pitch is better than his own. And you know why? Because she's learned the new language of AI. Because they both used AI. He used AI to create it. She used AI to create it. Both probably used ChatGPT. But she has learned a language called prompting. He is overweight by MBAs, Harvard, Wharton, all of those. That's become his problem. He cannot think beyond that. She's never been educated. She's fresh. She's coming fresh to something called AI. So she's better at it than he is. That's what I'm saying. So whose job is going to go, the CEOs or the cleaning ladies? I always use this story because it's always the people at the top of the pyramid who say, "Oh, बेचारों की नौकरी चले जाएगी." नहीं, Your job is going to go. Because one of the things is the pyramid, the way we are structured, it's going to be flattened. If the cleaning lady has the same abilities as a CEO, then there's no pyramid. And then in a flat pyramid, who's the CEO? So it's the CEO should be worried that their job and their is going to go. So what is the new structure? If you ask me, if you see sparrows, usko murmuring bolte na, you see hundreds of sparrows suddenly moving this and then they change direction and then suddenly move, thousands of them. You can just watch them and you ask yourself, which sparrow led? How come they all move together?
And there are lovely patterns also at times.
Yeah. That's going to be the new way of AI. We need to find a way of managing through those structures. Coming back to AI is going to take over filmmaking, but not the filmmaking as it's like when sound came in, everybody said film is dead. Then when color came in, everybody said film is dead. Then when digital came in, and the biggest mistake everybody made is like, chalo, let's make digital look like film. But every technology brings a new way of looking at things.
When TV came, people thought newspapers are going to die, radio is going to end.
Yeah. So, but every technology brings its own culture of viewing. AI will bring its own culture of viewing, and there will be proliferation of AI because it's easier to do. In fact, A.R. Rahman and I, we've been running a music school in Dharvi for slum kids. But we've been doing hip-hop and rap. We're now opening a film school for them, an AI film school, where 11 and 12-year-old kids will learn AI, and some of the biggest AI companies in the world want to work with us to teach slum kids how to make films with artificial intelligence, because they don't have to go to film school. They don't need a camera. They need an old computer, and they need a new language called prompting.
And in one of your interviews, I also heard about your cook writing.
He's sitting right there.
Using ChatGPT
Yeah.
to write a script for Mr. India?
Yeah, not right. He finally gave me a script that was probably better than any else, right? And he confessed he got it from ChatGPT, from my own computer.
So is it a true story?
Of course it is.
Mr. Kapur, we're also talking at a time when, we have seen a dastardly terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir, Pahalgam. 26 innocent tourists were mercilessly killed, and there is a fair bit of anger in the country as well, because it has been happening and now India has decided to say enough is enough. In the past as well, we have ended cultural ties with the neighboring country. This time as well, that was one of the first few reactions that we saw coming in from the government side. How do you see these developments? Do you think it's the right thing to do? And how will you like to respond?
I think we have to do whatever it takes to make sure it doesn't happen again. Violence cannot be stopped by violence. Violence can be stopped by making sure that everything that they have, because these terrorists, they had guns. Where did they come from? They were motivated. They had people, right? So we have to do everything to make absolutely 100% sure that we are protected, that this does not happen again. That's what we have to do, whatever that is. Remember, we are a nation that is surging ahead. We are not a nation that wants to get into a war situation, but that doesn't mean the nation is surging ahead becomes seen as weak. No. We have to do whatever it takes. Now, I'm not 100% convinced that it means going to war with somebody else, but I'm 100% convinced that these terrorists cannot have acted alone. They must have got their guns from somewhere. They must have got the organization from somewhere. Very important to destroy that particular point, that it never happens again.
And with Pakistani artists being allowed or not allowed after an incident of this magnitude?
I say that's a cultural idea. It's a different thing. I mean, suddenly you say we won't play cricket with you. We won't allow your artists to come in. What we say? We will not sing any more Pakistani songs. Next, we will say, "Ab kawali nahi gayenge, ab ye nahi karenge, wo nahi karenge." No, that is not what we need to do. What we need to do is whatever we need to do that this cannot happen again. That's it. We need to protect our citizens. So it cannot happen again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shekhar Kapur. It was wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.